if you get into the discussion of church and canon law and what the scriptures say and what the different religions' interpretation of the different scriptures, that you could go on for the rest of your life and do a show every day for the rest of your life, and you'll have nothing but discussion after discussion about things which nobody seems to know anything about, and everybody has a different idea. I'm not interested in doing that. I'm interested in going back to the very bedrock where things actually came from. And when you do that, you're going to find, as I have and others have too, and you can find on my research society website on my home page all kinds of pictures and documents talking about things which you've heard of in religion, but you never actually knew what they meant. And so that's what I try and do. I try and demystify and boil down to the common denominator of what these religious churches and belief systems, where they actually came from and what they're actually in fact talking about. And so many times all of these illustrious ideas and belief systems in religion, when you do the research, very few people will be able to do that kind of research because it takes days and weeks and years. And most people don't have time. They're raising a family and doing what normal people do. They don't live abnormal lives like I do. And so that's why I feel I want to bring to the attention of people who don't have time to do this research. Well, here's where to start if you're really interested. If you're not interested, I don't care. But if you are really interested in where things come from and where ideas develop and what they really mean, not what you thought they meant, then that's why I want to be here to help people to find the quickest way to get to that kind of information. And my website, my Jordan Maxwell Show website, like you said, my research society has all kinds of documents where to go for this information. What do these words mean? Where do you find this? Where do you find that? Here's how to do this and that. And so that's what I try and do. Just help people who want to know and who are trying to find out, and just save them a lot of time of going to libraries and studying and reading. And I've already done that for 60 years. I'd like to just help people see where to go to find the truth, and it's all there if you just know what to look for. And most people have never been told what to look for, what words are important. So that's what I do. So when we get into religion, there's so many topics that I haven't even begun to cover. But I think we talked about the social gospel of the Jesuits and the connection with the Jesuits, social gospel in the Catholic Church connecting directly to the Communist Party, the Soviet Union. There's a connection between the Jesuits, the Vatican, and the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union, communism, that has never been brought out into the public, never been told to the public. And then when you see so many ideas being expressed in movies and television shows where these religious ideas have actually come from. So that's what I try and do. The Vatican has had the Jesuits doing all kinds of incredibly dark things around the world, which we today would call terrorism, blowing up buildings and killing people at the airports and all that kind of stuff. The Jesuits are very interested in that kind of stuff, and they cause that chaos to frighten the people, and so that the people will turn to the church, and they are actually perfecting their political maneuverings by assassinations, by bombings, and all kinds of, And from there, you get to, if you're studying the Jesuits and their terrorism around the world, going back hundreds of years, all the way back to 1500s, you also come into contact with, in the last couple of hundred years, something in the Vatican called propaganda due, or P2. You go on the web and just type in P and a 2, P2 Lodge, and you will see that P2 is in Italian is propaganda due, and propaganda due was a secret society of bankers and assassins and all kinds of mafiosis, gangsters, underworld organizations all around the world to create chaos, to create terrorism, to cause the death of leaders of countries. Propaganda due. And it's actually in the Godfather series, the movie Godfather series, the third in the series, the last one, Godfather 3, the whole movie of Godfather 3 is about P2, propaganda due, and what they're doing, and how the Vatican is doing business with all of the most powerful underworld organized crime figures around the world in different countries, orchestrating the distribution of drugs, heroin, all the different illegal drug trafficking, plus white slavery, child slavery. It's an incredible, dark, scary world that the Medellin cartels in South America and Central America, all those cartels that are flooding the world, especially America, with drugs and murder. You're reading about it every day. All of this is orchestrated in the Vatican, period. End of sentence, period. All of this is understood, being operated through the Vatican and our organizations like P2, the Jesuits, and other nefarious organizations and organized criminal syndicates are operating now in the Middle East. They're operating in Russia with the Russian mafia, with the Italian Sicilian connection. All of this stuff in organized crime ultimately goes back to Rome, all the way back to the days of Caesars of Rome. And as I've said before, the Roman Empire has dominated Europe for about 2,300 years. And the fall of the Roman Empire in the 5th century, the official fall of the Roman Empire, for the last 1,600 years, the Vatican has dominated. Well, we're talking about Rome. We're talking about the Rome as a world power. Rome is a world power. Why? Because of the Vatican sits in the middle of Rome, and it is the brains behind what we used to call the ancient Roman Empire. And it's still here today. They've set up an organization. They took over our government a long time ago. The Vatican slyly came in quietly, bought up politicians, murdered some, frightened others, assassinated some, and ultimately today the Vatican dominates the United States corporation. It's an incredible story.
It certainly is, Jordan. And you know what's amazing is that in earlier shows you covered exactly how we can see the resonant organization in the United States is based on the Roman concept of organization. And you told that extensively during other shows, but here's something I think a lot of people don't know. The structure within the legitimate, or the really well organized, I should say, not legitimate, that's a bad word, but the really well organized Sicilian criminal organizations is based on the military structure of Rome. In fact, the entire concept, the way it's done with tribute being paid upward in the chain, the idea that there are captains and individuals which are given particular ranks within organized crime. This is actually another fingerprint of ancient Rome. It's based more on the constructs of the Roman legions, but still the same structure is inspired by the same people. Is that not true?
Yes. As a matter of fact, in the second movie of Godfather 2, there was a scene in there when the attorney, the Godfather's attorney, was talking with one of the other mob guys who's been convicted, and he was going to die in prison. And so the attorney went to visit him. And you see the attorney walking with this mob guy who's going to die. They're talking about their lives together. And the attorney, I think it was the attorney, said, in the movie Godfather 2, he said, remember, our thing that we do was based on the old ancient Roman Empire. This is the way we run our business today, the same way Rome ran its business to control the world. It's never changed. It's still the same thing. And today, organized crime around the world in different countries is always being backed up and put together, organized, directed, and financed out of Europe, out of Rome. And so if you're tired of organized crime all over the world, just look at the Vatican, because that is where it's all being formulated. Put together and formulated to organize it so that it works so well. And this is why organized crime works so incredibly well, because it has a world-class institution that's been around for 2,300 years of knowing how to control nations and peoples and laws and regulations, and how to control the masses of millions of people in the ancient Roman Empire. Well, today we're still doing the same thing. I think there's a lot more to it, but I think Rome perfected the establishment of the institutions of mankind that are necessary to control the man and woman and child on the earth. They were brilliant when they put together the institutions that would promote their philosophy and their control of the world, and do it in such a way that no one seemed to realize what was really going on. Today we have educational institutions, universities and colleges, never ever realizing the very word college comes from the collegia in Italy, in Rome. And it's called the collegia, or the college of cardinals. So when you go to college, that's a Latin Roman Catholic term. College. I don't care what college. It's Roman. And it's run like Rome. And so when you look at the words and terms, when you go to college, you start off and you're a sophomore. Well, in the ancient world, the word sophomore meant you were an idiot. You were totally mentally deranged, goofy idiot that didn't know how to find your way out of a paper bag. So that anything that's really screwy and stupid today we call sophomoric, meaning this is stuff what sophomores talk about. Sophomore means you're stupid. And then later on you have something called a freshman. Oh, you're a freshman in school. Yeah, you're a fresh man. And you're a sophomore. You're ignorant and stupid. And so we're going to teach you what to kiss and when. And we're going to teach you how to operate in this world. And we will give you a diploma. If you answer all the questions correctly, then you get a diploma, which is a work permit. And now you can go out and earn a living with a work permit. But it comes from the word collegia, college, university. And so all the most important universities around the world are either owned by or run by Jesuits or some division of the Roman system of ancient Rome. So this is why I say that I don't think the world is able to extricate itself out of the mess we're in, because so many people just do not realize the size and the implications of how big this apparatus really is. It goes back thousands of years, and you think all the things that were going on 5,000 years ago was just a bunch of primitive goofballs doing whatever they call themselves doing. No, they were perfecting the whole idea of perfecting how to control the human race. And when it came to the founding of the Roman Empire, they had some incredibly fascinating ideas about how to impact the human. As a matter of fact, it was Albert Pike, the head of the Masonic order, the highest ranking Freemason, wrote a book. And I just recall that in the first couple of pages, he talked about, if you're going to control the whole world, it's impossible to do, because there's too many different kinds of people, too many different ideas, and you're never going to be able to force the whole human race to do anything, because you just don't have an army big enough. But he said, but look at the world as one thing, one man, one woman, and one child. That's the way you got to look at the entire earth of mankind. One man, one woman, and one child. So what is it that you need to do to capture the minds and the hearts of one man? And so it explains how you work on the human mind. And therefore, if you could get one man buying into something, use the same method to get the whole male population of the world to buy into it, because all men are men. So learn how to control one man and you've got the whole world. Learn how to control one woman, her thinking, her body, the way she feels about things, the way she views things. Learn how to control her, one woman, and now you've got all the women in the world. And so this goes all the way back to the professional politicians and the founding of America, wanting to get away from all of that. And most people are not aware that when the United States of America as a republic was originally founded, two institutions were not allowed in this country. Go back and read the encyclopedias about the founding of America, and you will find there were two separate institutions that the founding fathers of America said would not and could not exist in this country under any circumstances. One was the Vatican. And the Catholic Church, period, was not allowed to have any sway in this country whatsoever. And the other was the banking institutions of Europe and of the Roman Empire. And so today, that's all we have are banks in the church everywhere. And all the different churches, even including the York Rite cults like Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons and Seventh-day Adventists, Christadelphians, Worldwide Church of God, all of the different York Rite cults today in America and in Europe are all based on the ancient Roman canon laws, ancient Roman maritime admiralty laws, all of the secret contracts and things which have been signed to start different religions, even the whole British Israel World Federation that I talked about a long time ago. British Israel World Federation. Go do some homework on that. And you will find that there's a world of treason and all kinds of incredible lies and deception that's been perpetrated by Rome on the world. And that's what we even have today as an old saying that says, all roads lead to Rome. I don't care what kind of criminality you're talking about, from child sacrifice to white slavery to buying and selling children and women around the world, to our narcotics trafficking, and people who put together wars. You got to have a fight promoter, so you got to have people who put together the wars for us and sell us on the idea and then send us into battle. Well, those people are trained. You will find they're always trained at the best universities in America, which are Jesuit-run, Jesuit-owned. And so it's a very, very big and dark and old and ancient story that if we're, that's why I say all the time that I don't think it's possible to change the destiny of the human race now. My feeling is, and it's actually my feeling, and it's just my feeling, it's my understanding. I don't think anything is going to change for us on the earth unless and until there is some kind of an intervention in our affairs by a higher power. I would prefer to think that that would be God who would intervene in our, intervene in our normal destiny as a human family. Well, we read in the Bible sometimes in the past we're told that God intervened in our business here on the earth and created a worldwide flood and killed everybody. I would not be a bit surprised if the gods themselves, the great spirits who have overseen our creation and who are watching our destiny unfold, that they are going to do something to clean up the direction and the destiny of the whole entire human family. Because we have become so far out of line, we're so totally corrupt in all of our thinking, that all the nations of the world are corrupt. We are now seeing slavery, prostitution, drug running, wars and violence and gang violence everywhere on the earth, including the deepest parts of Africa. Still looks just like us. What they're doing is what we're doing. So I'm afraid that for the human family, we are going to have to experience something very, very bad before the Spirit that created us can recreate us and start us back on a different road. Because if not, if we're left alone now, I don't know how we're going to make it to the next century. I don't know how we're going to make it to the next 10 years. And besides, we will not learn. We will not learn by listening to an older and like they used to do thousands of years ago, the older men of the community, with the long beards, and they were the older men, and they were told, and the people were told to listen to their old fathers and all the older tribal members. They were young at one time, and they now know things that we young people don't know, and so we need to listen to their wisdom. Well, nobody's listening to anybody anymore. So if we're all in a big room, like a motion picture theater, and the lights go off and everything's off and it's dark, if somebody comes into the room, into that theater with a big light, a big flashlight, or a big lantern that's lighting up everything, we call him Lucifer. Because the name Lucifer means one who brings the light. He's not the light, but he brings the light. And so the planet Venus was referred to in Hebrew as Helio, or the light bringer. The one who brings the light. Why? Is because in the morning, in the ancient world, and especially in Egypt, the priest of Ra, Amun-Ra, the sun god, the priest would wake in the morning very early, and they would go out in front of the temple, and they would all sit and wait and watch for Lucifer, the light bringer, to come, which was the planet Venus. Why? Because Venus is very impressive. In the morning, when it's first coming up, it's very bright, and it's really interesting. Something that bright coming up on the horizon. But it told everybody, and today it tells everyone, It's bringing the light. What are you talking about, bringing the light? The sun. The sun is the light of the world. That's why we say Jesus is light of the world. Of course, the sun is the light of the world. But Venus is not lighting the world. But Venus is telling you he's coming behind me. So when you see Venus, know the sun is coming now. Now the light of the world is going to rise, and he's going to be our risen Savior. So the ancient peoples in India and Egypt, etc., in the ancient world, all realized when that bright, beautiful, bright star, that bright planet called Venus, when you see that thing coming up on the horizon, it's not the light of the world. It's not going to light the whole earth. But it is telling you, get ready, the light is coming. He's bringing the light to the world. Why? Because he just precedes the coming of the sun. And so we call Jesus, God's Son, the light of the world. Yeah, well, who owns the sun? Well, nobody owns the sun. Well, somebody must own it. Well, if anybody owned it, theoretically, I guess you could say God owns it. Okay, so it's God's Son. And God's Son is our risen Savior. That's right, because it rises every morning. If it don't, we're dead in 3 weeks. And so the Venus was the light bringer, the one who announced the coming of God's Son, the light of the world. So today we say that Venus is the light bringer. He brings the light. And so Jesus said, I am the light of the world. I'm the one that lights the world. So Jesus is the light bringer, because through Jesus we are enlightened about God, about the universe, about our lives. We're supposedly to worship God's Son, the light of the world. And if you're looking to God's Son to learn from him, then you are his pupil, which is a term we use for the round circle of your eye as a pupil. So you're learning from God's Son. You're taking in intellectual and spiritual enlightenment from the Son. And so Jesus is the Son, and he is the one who brings the light. So it was a misunderstanding of astrological terms because the writers of the King James Bible, translators, were very, very good with the King's English, but they weren't that hot on Aramaic and Greek. And so sometimes they made mistakes and said things that weren't exactly correct. And so they misunderstood the word Helio and translated it Lucifer, when it should be just a bright star. Anything bright star that heralds the coming of the sun, the light of the world, is called Lucifer, one who is not the light, but he's bringing the light to you. Jerome Massey is an extraordinary Egyptologist, but he once said in one of his books, the quote was very good. He said, they, T-H-E-Y, they, whoever it is, they're going to find it very difficult. Those who have accepted the authority as truth, rather than the truth as the authority. So people have accepted authority because what do you mean authorities? Well, they're the people who write down what you are supposed to do and the way you're supposed to live. They are the authors of the law. They decide what the law should be, so they write it down, and they're called scribes, and they're scribbling the scripture, they're scribbling scribes, and so they're writing down how you should think, how you should dress, how you should operate in this world, and then you follow them. Whatever they tell you to do, you follow them, and then they are the authorities. They are the ones who authored the document you call the law.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the next one right here on this channel. Thank you for watching.